Did you give a tag? No, you didn't. Harry says, Dear Willie and Pat, I was listening to last week's podcast with the Everhood and the message of the need of death in our lives, and it got me thinking about the portrayal of immortality as a curse in fiction. You'd think not aging and being able to live as long as you want would be a great thing, but often immortality is a curse more than a blessing. The origins of this are most likely from Faust, and the moral of the human being that needs to accept their current reality in order to find personal satisfaction. A fine moral, but it's become overplayed as a trope in fiction to the point that the concept of eternal life itself is a negative quality. Um, that and that the immortal should always want death unless they're a villain. I think the only noticeable subversion I can think of is a chapter of Sandman. You okay?
Sorry, I see people in the chat like going like Pat's charging up. It's like every time immortality comes up, I get like visibly excited by the conversation.
A good example of a subversion of this, yeah, was in a chapter of Sandman, and then they give a link to a conversation that takes place in Sandman where um, Dream is talking to an immortal who is talking about all the pains of life, but then in the end goes, "So you want to die then?" And he's like, "Fuck no, living's awesome."
Yeah.
um, yeah, the moral of values being placed on human and accepting your place often comes across to me as either preachy or sour grapes, a way the author and the reader find some acceptance of our mundane, short, and fragile lives. The need to value and accept our place as human beings shows up a lot in fiction and is often in many annoying forms. For example, a person isekai'd into a magic world decides to stay in the real world and live a normal life. The superhero with cool powers bemoans their fate and just wants to be normal. The hyper-intelligent, far superior alien race is defeated because they can't comprehend human emotion. Mechanical augmentation and other forms of transhumanism are depicted as a negative thing to have. Have you often encountered this trope in fiction, and has there been a case that particularly annoyed you? That's on point. There's a good bit
All
of
of them.
that. Yep, that's all of that. All of that is very frequent, and like many,
Like
many, many times, the core message the author is trying to get across is being human is the best, and it's awesome.
I am profoundly against like War of the Worlds is a sci-fi classic because it scared the shit out of people.
Mm-hmm.
But War of the Worlds' message of the aliens were too stupid not to know what germs are
Mm-hmm.
is maybe the fucking stupidest cop-out in the fucking history of sci-fi.
Hmm.
Like aliens that can fucking
Glass of water.
travel like hundreds of millions of fucking light years and don't know to fucking put on a suit on a completely alien planet. Give me a fucking break.
Or how about the one where they're allergic to water, the thing that is made
Oh,
up
that
of
most of the
most
country,
of the
most of the planet is, yeah,
and the
nonsense.
population, not just the planet.
Um,
Yeah, I mean I think that message encapsulates a whole lot of that stuff because it is true that like there's a very constant need to find a way to be like, let's reframe the state that like it seems like it would be better to be better than human, but what you don't realize is the pain that comes with it, right? And
yeah,
like depends on what your ultimate message is and what you're trying to tell. That can be done in a compelling way or a convincing way or an interesting way. Um, I think for example, like Nier tells some incredible stories that like their impact is tied to the idea of the fact that this is a repetitive process that cycles over and over and over again, looking for any variable in each one, right? Um, I think but yeah, when it comes to stuff like I've ever heard, of course, that there's a buy-in that requires you to be on the same viewpoint as the person putting that story out into the world. I'm gonna just repeat what I said when we talked about that and say that like there's value in someone trying to communicate the personal story of like accepting death as a positive and accepting death as a thing that you should be comfortable with. I once again reference the Midnight Gospel as a really good druggy ass cartoon that talks about all of these subjects and then like has them central to the core and takes you on a very powerful journey as to why it's important to become familiar with death. But you can't be the one that decides for other people, you know. Yeah, it is very tropey though. I agree. It doesn't always execute poorly, but now that you've pointed it out, especially, I feel like I'm gonna, every time it's like, oh my god, the humans are the craziest of all the aliens because they have heart, soul, or some other thing. We can't figure it out. You know,
something, that special spark,
that human, what it means
spark of
to
life.
be
And spark of life is a really good analogy because of flame and the history with intelligence and the metaphor for flame.
The dark soul. It's the dark soul that we share.
I mean, this is an easy segue into what I wanted to start talking about, which is like this is an obvious question. Woolie, you are being set up for a philosophical treatise on the endless life. Like, you literally couldn't have been more perfectly planned with Silent Hill, followed by Everhood, followed by Elden Ring, which is another nihilistic fantasy setting made by From Software, which depicts the type of infinite life as inhuman and unnatural, as a perversion of the natural order. Now, Vati was able to pull out in the network test, one of the details that appears to be occurring in Elden Ring is that not only is eternal life unnatural, but it appears that the unfortunate unintended side effect of that is that the propagation of life also no longer works. So it's entropy to another degree.
You can't create it.
Now,
okay.
If you're going to talk about immortality, right, I think we can all talk about the old-fashioned shit of I forget what Greek dumbass it was, but it's like, I want to live forever. And they're like, you might want to ask for eternal youth too, right? Okay, infinite life without some form of agency
Quality
or
control.
your bodily control is obviously going to completely suck fucking shit, right? Like, it's going to be awful. You're going to curl into a tiny little old man and become like a fucking rock or something.
Yeah.
Okay, no one's ever talking about that, right? You're talking about eternal life. You're talking about eternal life from, I don't know, your 20s to your 40s.
In a preservation form, yeah.
Okay? Here's the thing. There's obviously two real big trains of thought on this, and they pretty much break down to East versus West. East has a lot of religious and philosophy about cyclical natures. Life, reincarnation, the natural order, etc. Life is a continuous process, which does make more sense to like a biological actual thing of, you know,
the mandala system.
Right. Over in the West, death has traditionally been viewed as linear. You're born, you die, you are judged by whatever deity you have available, and something does or doesn't happen to you, and this like affects people's perceptions of death, right, as a continuous process or as a state of finality. In Faust, all these other things about eternal life, it's used as a natural, oh, living too long sucks, you get all sad and shit. But everybody who lamented their endless life, who lived from like the year 1400 to the year 2000's a fucking pussy. Shit got better. Okay? Shit got way better. We have a TV now. I'm playing games on my PlayStation. Food's good. You ever screw somebody? It feels good on your wiener.
That feels good.
Quit crying about it. Oh, boo-hoo, I live forever.
Feels
Living
good, man.
forever is portrayed in a lot of fiction the way rich people talk about getting rich is in the real world of don't get rich, man. It'll ruin your life. How about I figure that out for myself? Kanye?
The burden. Yeah.
Teflon Billy points out correctly, everyone you've loved died. Guess what? The vast majority of people in their lives will see most of their loved ones die anyway. I miss my grandma. I loved her dearly. She is gone. One day, my mom and dad will pass long before me. It sucks. I'm a person who loves to have pets. I have a dog and a cat. They will assuredly pass before me. Watching people pass on without, I've had coworkers who've passed away. I had people I knew in school who passed away. Sucks. You would be lit if that didn't happen. That'd be great. Oh no, you can't have the self-actualization of starting a family because of overpopulation and the carrying capacity of the earth. Oh, but no one you ever know will die? Oh, bummer. Oh, it's not natural? Neither is a single thing about your life. Every single fucking thing you do in your life is unnatural to the quote-unquote natural order of things.
But
the computer
wait,
you're using to argue with me on...
Appeal to the past, though. Appeal to the way it was.
And also, bonus, certain types of jellyfish will literally recreate their own cells at a younger state and are functionally immortal anyway. So immortality isn't even actually unnatural. It's just really hard. With all that being said, you get a good robot to put me in. Give me another 1,000 years. I'll sign myself up. Give me that shit. If we got doctors and rocket scientists that listen to this podcast, if you guys got a fucking robot for me, I'll fucking ditch anything. I'm not doing anything tonight. Put me in the robot.
If we stare at lobsters long enough, we could probably learn a thing or two. They're the ones that just keep growing until they can't sustain.
Oh, a lot of stuff
anymore.
does that. Crocodiles and alligators do that too.
It's like they're not actually aging. It's just the mechanics failing.
They're just getting bigger, and then the inverse square law kicks in.
Yeah. But no. It's bad because
it's unnatural.
Because we say so. And
you know what it sounds like to me?
Just accept it.
You know what immortality as unnatural sounds like to me? It sounds like the writing of people in their 60s knowing it's too late for them. And going, well, if I'm not going to get my youth back. So fuck you kids. Pay your student loans.
Asterisk, as long as you don't get carsed.
Well, I think everybody can agree that the best possible thing is live forever but not be invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Choose so that it can end.
Yeah, the Earth blows up. Okay, fine. You're not going to be floating in space forever.
Yeah. Heat death of the universe. You continue to exist. Not great. Yeah. Okay.
Immortality, what a curse. Fuck off.
You should play ever. You should play the game. I think you should.
I'd just be screaming at I'm so glad I dodged it. I'm so glad I dodged it, man.
From top to bottom would fucking have such a time playing it, dude. Like,
oh, fuck off.
If you pull that out of your pocket just now, slightly prompted, you would have a hell of a time with it.
I think about this a lot.
I can see that. I can see that.